but obviously, welcome back. Yesterday was the NHL trade deadline. We had a bunch of stuff happen way before the deadline even took place. So today we're going to break that down. We're going to talk about how the Rangers have gone from, great season to mediocre to now back to only being 1 point out of a wild card spot. And obviously, just giving my 2 cents on, who I think is going to win the cup and who I think is going to miss the playoffs and, what those teams are going to have to do in order to regroup in the postseason. So let's go. All right. So obviously, the first thing that we're going to be talking about happened on March 5th, just chilling in the apartment. At 2:55, Oliver Bjorkstrand, Yanni Gordon, a fifth was sent for Mikey Eismont, Sharks legend, two first and a second. And obviously, as the GM of Tampa put it, if you want to win, you got to risk it all, and it's better to risk it all and fail than not even attempt it at all. And then, we had some minor deals. I mean, nothing too crazy. I mean, they were still NHL players, but my Rangers traded away Riley Smith for Brendan Brisson, who I think is probably going to play in Hartford the rest of the year, or maybe he'll have a shot in the NHL. I think he'll hopefully fit Laviolette's system, but obviously you never know with how we've developed our players over the many years. And then a couple hours later, for a third-round pick, we get Carson Soucy to again help out the left side. I really think that, I could see this being a future pairing because I just like Zach Jones' game. Zach Jones has been a great defenseman when he was at UMass. He won a national championship there, and then obviously transitioned to the NHL. And even, the bits and pieces we saw of him, I mean, he's still great. But I mean, again, it has to do with how much playing time Laviolette is willing to give him. And now with Lindgren gone and with Fox hurt, he's obviously had to step in and take a bigger role. Keon J. Miller, Will Borgen, that deep pair has been fantastic. Adam Fox, obviously in the Four Nations, he's not really a physical guy. He's a little bit smaller than everybody else. And again, I understand. But for all Ranger fans, or I should say most Ranger fans, hating on him because he had a bad tournament, who cares? He still won a Norris. He's our franchise defenseman. We traded basically nothing to Carolina. I believe it was a second and a third conditional. Became 2 seconds for a franchise defenseman. Who cares if he, doesn't do well in the Four Nations? You can say the same thing about Jack Hughes. Jack Hughes was getting bumped around. Obviously, you can tell he's not built to play that type of hockey, and unfortunately, he's out with a, season-ending injury. Just had shoulder surgery. I wish him a healthy and safe recovery, and, hopefully he can get back to it next year. The Devils, though, not saying they're screwed, but, one of your top playmakers and, superstars are injured, and I would say, other than Doug, I would call Dougie Hamilton an all-star. I wouldn't call him anything crazy. Nico Hischier, great captain, great two-way forward. But, Jack Hughes and Jesper Bratt just run that offense. But, yeah. And then at the 11th hour, while the Avs were playing the Sharks, Oliver Shillington, who then got flipped to the Ducks for everyone's favorite future consids. Who knows? It could be something massive. Calm Ritchie, great forward. Unreal release. He's in the OHL right now. He got sent back down. A first and a conditional third for Brock Nelson and William Dufour. From what I've been told about Dufour, he's a really big guy who can use his body. Great shot. Great passing. Obviously, we know what Brock Nelson brings. He brings leadership, but he also brings depth that is much needed if, Colorado wants to win another cup. And then, get this. The Sharks made a trade with the Oilers. Obviously, in hockey, you never really want to trade in the division unless it's a good return. And the fact that Detroit essentially traded Jake Wallman away for nothing, and they got a conditional first, Greer, man. We all were like, what were you doing in the beginning? Dude's cooking. That future in San Jose with Celebrini, Smith, Eklund. I wanted Fabian Zetterlund to be there, but unfortunately he got shipped away to Ottawa. Which, again, great. I would say you should have held on to him. He's 25 years old. I think he could be, a 20-plus goal scorer. He already is. He was traded in the Timo Meier trade. So, yeah. Then we had another one drop around, the afternoon at 12. Dylan Cousins is going to a divisional rival in the Ottawa Senators, along with the second and Dennis Gilbert for Jacob Bernard-Docker and Josh Norris. I could see why this makes sense, but Norris and Cousins, I mean, Norris hasn't really been able to stay healthy. If he does stay healthy, then obviously that's huge for Buffalo. That's going to be, honestly, a steal. And obviously, Ottawa is banking on Cousins returning back to form, a new change of scenery. I mean, listen, Buffalo is not. I mean, here's how I can describe the Sabres right now. The Sabres are like a Twilight Zone episode. It's like a nightmare that you just can't wake up. It's like a loop that you just can't wake up from. Every year, either they start off really hot and then they cool down and then boom, they lose like 10 straight. Or that one year when they lost, I think it was 17 or 18 in a row when the divisions were realigned a couple years ago. That was just. Listen, man, Sabres fans, I'm sorry. I don't really have. I mean, listen, I'm a Jet fan for football, so at least you guys got the Bills. And, I have the Rangers for hockey, so I mean, it's vice versa. But, man, that is just. I mean, for Buffalo, I mean, do you just strip it all down and say, all right, let's start new, fire? I mean, listen, Lindy Ruff's a great coach, but he's not the guy for this. Yeah, it's cool, the whole boys club mentality. Shout out U Tree for that, the boys club. But, like, I get it, bringing them back, coach Buffalo, whatever, all that good stuff. But, like, in reality, this team is going nowhere. They're not. And, Darlene, Tage Thompson, who's, one of my favorite players in the league. I mean, think about all the guys that have been traded out of Buffalo. Obviously, Jack Eichel, Sam Reinhart, Stanley Cup Ryan O'Reilly, they're all Stanley Cup champions. Listen, Linus Ullmark, when he went to Buffalo, so much happier. When you lose, it just creates negativity. And no one wants to play on a losing team because, the team loses confidence, you lose confidence in yourself, and then you start to think, losing takes a toll on you. For all these guys, this is their livelihood. This is their job. Their job is to play hockey in the NHL and provide for not only themselves or family members. And you know what? Buffalo needs to just look in the mirror and say, we just need to strip it all down. Do what the Rangers did. Just clean house. If the Pagulas have to sell. What they're doing out there, it's just not working. And all the Owen Power, all the Jack Quinns, all the JJ Paterkas. It's just like, it's not even fair to Sabres fans. I mean, the last time they made the playoffs, they got swept by the Rangers. I mean, that's not fun. All right, breaking away from the Sabres. Okay, Briere. I'm honestly shocked here. Briere got a first for Scott Lawton. There's 50% retention, but still a first for Scott Lawton, who's a third line guy. I mean, he had much needed penalty kill, a veteran leadership. I think that works out for Toronto. And then obviously the massive trade everyone was talking about the night before on Twitter and Instagram. Obviously, we knew it was going to happen. It was just a matter of how it was going to happen. Mikko Rantanen, sign-in trade, 8 years, $12 million annual value for Logan Stankoven, who's a really solid young center who I think will really thrive in Carolina. 2 conditional firsts, one being in 2026, the other being in 2028, and then 2 third-round picks in 26 and 27. And both first-round picks are top 10 protected. So, I mean, we need to talk about this. Eric Tolsky, I mean, did you guys not learn last year from Gensel? For all of one playoff round of Jake Gensel beating the Islanders? Did you guys seriously not learn to go all in for a guy who, listen, I get Nate just said, I'm probably just going to sign a 2-year extension and then dip. I'll test the market. He's traded to Colorado. Listen, I'm not an NHL player. I don't know what it takes to be an NHL player, but to get a guy who plays 12 games for you and to give up. Listen, Carolina's never had a definitive superstar. They never have. Aho, Shestakov before his ACL injury, he's slowed down a lot. But Aho's not game breaker. He's an elite center, but he's not. He's no Artemi Panarin. He's no Sasha Barkov. He's no Jack Eichel. Again, they've never had a superstar. And being a Ranger fan, I had to watch Marty Necas just terrorize my team in the playoffs for 2 years in a row. And obviously, the Rangers came up on top and won both those series. But it's just like, how do you not learn? You trade for a guy. I get it. I get what he was trying to do here. He wanted to bring in a superstar, but even when he played in Carolina, he looked out of place. He didn't fit Rod Brindamore's. Rod Brindamore is more of a defensive-minded team, and Mikko Rantanen needs to be on a team in which he can get the puck and score. He played on a line with McKinnon and Landeskog. I mean, does that say any more? And then at the 11th hour at 3:06 p.m., I mean, earth-shattering stuff here. Also, the Avs are definitely gearing up by getting, Charlie Coyle, but that's not the trade we're going to talk about. I mean, listen, the entire world, I'm so happy Boston's downfall. Brad Marchand got sent to the Panthers. Like, we really need Kachuk, Bennett, and Marchand on one team. Just all pests. And, I mean, listen, obviously, he probably told Boston where he wanted to go. It was probably Florida or nothing. Like when Kane wanted to go to the Rangers, the GMs don't really have any leverage. But to get a conditional second back, and then you get a really decent prospect in Fraser Min and a conditional first and a fourth for, I get it, Carlo's younger and has less term, or I should say more term. But still, I mean, Sweeney, Neely guys, what are you doing? The boys club mentality, right? Everybody loves the boys club mentality. It's great until obviously everything comes full circle, and here they are. They're, in a sense, rebuilding. They're stuck with Zadorov's contract, Lindholm's contract. Pasta and McAvoy are now part of this rebuild, and Swayman. The day this franchise fell apart, I'd say Bruce Cassidy, but Bruce Cassidy obviously didn't really, his voice was lost in that locker room, was the day that they let Monty go. I truly think to blame the coach for awful years of drafting, poor signings, poor trade, prospects stalling out in their system, not getting enough, whatever it may be. Every team, unfortunately, like Chicago, they had 3 cups to show for it. They had one. And they came back and beat Vancouver. The good old reverse sweep. But, I mean, this is the end for Boston. And maybe Marchand comes back in the offseason. Maybe he doesn't. But as a Bruin fan, I would just, like, anyone out there who's listening to this, if you're a Bruin fan, I would just love to hear your thoughts. Your final years of arguably one of the greatest defensive forwards to ever play in hockey, Patrice Bergeron and David Krejci, your second-line center for a very long time, both retire. You think, listen, no offense to Morgan Geekie. I mean, yeah, not my bad, Connor Geekie, but to have Connor Geekie as your number one center, or even Pavel Zacha, I mean, that's just not going to cut it. And, prospects like Fabian Lysell, they're in the AHL. John Beecher is kind of molding into form. It took him a little bit of time to finally break in, but, yeah, that's basically where it stands. It was kind of I wouldn't say a crazy deadline, but obviously at the end with, Boston trading away their captain, that really shocked the league, because now the Atlantic is just going to be awful to have to play against. All right, guys, but without further ado, let's talk Rangers hockey. This is how much I am so excited to, I'm just excited to talk about them. Well, they play today at 12:30, so I'm excited about that. So the Rangers are playing the Senators. This is a huge game. They obviously need to win in order to make the playoffs. With no Kreider, I don't think Kreider's still playing. He's still injured, but obviously let's talk about it. Since the last time I was recording, our captain got traded away for Urho Vakanainen. Listen, for what has happened to the Rangers this year, I think Drury has done, at the beginning I didn't really like it, but I think Drury has done a good job at getting what he could for our expiring UFAs. Because Lindgren wasn't going to come back. Smith wasn't going to come back. The roster is this right now: Brett Berard, Brzezinski, Carrick, Cooley, Enstrom's hurt. Kaliev, Krides, Laffy, JT, Othman, Bread, Parsonen, Remp, Troch, Mika, Borgen, Dahan, Fox, Jones, Miller, Schneider, Susi, Urhovac-Nikkanen, and obviously Quick and Shesterkin. So, I mean, this team right now has 31 regulation wins. Columbus only has 30 regulation wins, and they have no games in hand. They have both played 62. The Rangers are 1 point out with a +3 differential. Here's what needs to happen. The top guys, here's who needs to get going because they've been kind of asleep. Laffy, listen, I know playing in New York, you had a great year last year. You followed it up by an unreal postseason, but you got to get going. And you're a -15. You have arguably the worst. No, I'm sorry. Zibanejad's a -20 on the year. You have the second worst plus minus on the team. Zibanejad's a -20. Listen, Zibanejad, since JT Miller's joined the team, has really got it going. Nothing, no bread slander, but Troch, Cooley stepped up in a big way. I'm really happy about that. Carrick has been great as a fourth liner, making $1 million. Brzezinski, it's going to be interesting to see how Susi and just what D pairs we're going to be going with, obviously. But yeah, without further ado, let's talk about who is and is not going to make the playoffs because, well, there's a lot of teams. And here they are. Obviously, we're going to start at the bottom and work our way up. All right, so Buffalo is at the bottom of the East with 54 points. They have 24 regulation wins, 31 regulation losses, and 6 overtime losses for 54 points, not even 500. And they're a -18 goal differential. Not as bad as Pittsburgh, who, 4 points better, I mean. Listen, Sidney Crosby, you are arguably one of the greatest athletes of our generation. You and Ovi are just goated. Like, when you guys retire, especially you, Sid, listen, Ovi, the Russian machine never breaks. He can hit anything in sight, physical guy, but Sid, man. Sid saved the city of Pittsburgh. For some of you who don't know, the team was going to fold. Lemieux and a couple investors came in, bought the team, and a lockout happened. They got this kid named Sid. They got Malkin. They got Fleury, and then they beat Detroit, and Sid wins one of his first 3 cups. It's sad that his career has honestly, he probably would have passed Lemieux for franchise points if he wasn't concussed in the early 2010s. I wish the NHL was like how it was today, like maybe 10 years ago per se. Just because obviously what's happened to our great athletes are just getting hit and whatnot. Flyers aren't any better. We obviously talked about them selling the Islanders. I mean, one team we low-key got to keep an eye on is Montreal. I'm not saying Montreal. I mean, Montreal's 30, 26, and 6, so they obviously could make some noise with Lane Hudson, Uri Slafkovsky, Mr. Cole Caulfield, the best player to never score 40. Hopefully he breaks it this year. I know he just hit 30. And then, I mean, the goaltending is just the only thing. And they're just such a young team, too. I mean, Ken Hughes, Marty St. Louis, good job with what you're doing there and motivating the kids. Detroit is only 1 point out. However, Detroit's problem is this, and this is what I think is going to happen. Detroit is going to, since the deadline's over, I think Detroit's just going to sputter out. Raymond's taking that next step to become, an elite first-line player. Larkin should have, in my opinion, worn the C for the Four Nations. He's just so fast. I forgot how good Larkin was because Detroit's been bad for the Yzer plan. And then you got Columbus. I mean, it's really sad. Obviously, the tragedy that happened there, but I'm very happy to see that they're overcoming the adversity and the heartbreak and the sadness and whatever emotions they may be feeling to now being in a playoff spot. And if they make the playoffs, I hope you guys go far. You got it. To quote the Outsiders, do it for Johnny. With that being said, moving on to the Atlantic, the top three teams would be the Panthers, Leafs, and Lightning. I mean, give me a Leafs Lightning first round again. That would be great. Watch Austin Matthews fail again and Mitch Marner. Then you got New Jersey, Carolina, and Washington. I mean, Spencer Carberry. Round of applause, man. You got Ovi. You got everybody you need essentially to play their part, and that's how you win. In the additions of Jacob Chikrin, who I met, unreal. Alright, now to break away from the East, just talk about the Battle of the Tanks. 5-point difference. San Jose has the lead for Hagen or Schaefer, whoever they depend, or Misa, whoever they decide to pick. Blackhawks, Spencer Knight, solid goaltender. Predators, I don't even. Marchessault, Stammer, Shea, that just looks. And obviously bringing back Saros. Then the Seattle Capo. Hitting the Seattle Kraken. Capo Caco, who's almost a point a game there. I'm glad to see him, flourishing and doing his thing. Seattle, Will Borgen's been good for the Rangers, so it's a fair trade. Anaheim, the Anaheim Trubas, the Anaheim Elbows. I mean, I honestly, Pat Verbeek, I don't really know what you do there. Do you trade Zegras in the offseason? Jackson Lacombe is a stud, saw him play at Minnesota. Great defenseman. And then Utah. I don't know if you guys could, actually, where is it? You can't see it. Right there. Logan Cooley. Good friend of mine got that for me. Love him. Would love to see Utah make it. I mean, Vancouver's in a playoff spot right now. They only have about 1 point advantage. But all right, guys, with that being said, I appreciate you listening, and I'll catch you later.